squared circle.
Yeah, but you and I could name you could give it another name. I'm not in syndication or anything yet.
Oh, okay.
So it's a lot of interesting things are happening. How was your trip? First of all, you went on a trip to Europe.
Yeah, I was in England, Italy, and Amsterdam, Holland. It was great.
Go on.
I just love leaving the country because it gives me great perspective. I know we often talk about I know you're really defensive of America whenever I say, America's on the downswing. It's not the same as it used to be. It's and you get really defensive about that. You try to protect America. And I know why. I mean, you're someone that has a lot invested in this country and a lot invested in the perception of this country, which you don't want to see disparaged. And I understand. I don't, I'm not like a America basher. I just want this country to be great again. I mean, that sounds terrible. It's actually the most oxymoronic statement, that the make America great again, because I'm not sure that it was better before than it is now, if I really look through it. But I am very critical of America. I'm not a diehard protect America guy. I think when you say I get very defensive, I think I'm defensive about very specific aspects of America, but I'm very critical about a lot of the things that of the way that this country is operating. Well, you should be. I mean, it's going down the tubes in front of our eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that it's
in a lot of ways.
I don't know that I see it going down the tubes. I just see that it's there are so many things to criticize, but I've been criticizing a lot of these things. I can look back to the 1930s, and I'm critical of what was going on then. I'm also an optimist, and I'm also live here. So I want to really focus on the things that are good and recognize them, and then also realize, hey, these things are wrong. Like, so much bureaucracy is constantly in the way. You try to build something or do some kind of, build something. Try to build something in this country, and then see what you're faced with in terms of the permitting process, the inefficiencies, and all of the aspects of what you're trying to do. And it's
see, I hear you say that, and the first thing I think of is that you just want to deregulate. You want to cut red tape for businesses who eventually start cheating and start flooding our waters with poisons and filling our air with toxins, and you stop the incentive to be healthy in this country when you give corporations. I don't trust corporations. I don't trust them to make the right decision on how much poison to spew into the air or into the water or any of that. So when you talk about deregulation or getting bureaucracy out of the way, that sounds like code for letting companies have their way with us.
Actually, I am a very strong proponent of regulation. I am a very strong proponent of making sure that companies cannot pollute water. I'm a very strong proponent of making sure that our air is protected.
Then what do you talk about? What do you mean when you say bureaucracy?
What I mean by that is the idea of going and being regulated could be a lot more efficient. It doesn't have to take 6 months for somebody to review some paperwork to tell you that, okay, yeah, you can go ahead and do it, or you've got to fix these 3 things. That should take 2 hours. In my view. So I think that regulation and protecting the air and the water are my top 2 mandates. And I think that I'm surprised that I heard you say that because you know something about my background and the causes that I've supported. And
oh yeah, no, but I think what you're doing is you're unintentionally allowing those things to happen. When you started by saying I don't like, I like smaller you want government out of the way, you want smaller bureaucracy,
You want
No.
less red tape.
I just want to run back. No, what I said, I didn't say any of we can the good thing is that this is recorded, so we can always review, and then we can see what I actually said. I never said anything about red tape. I never mentioned that word. What I said
Did you say less bureaucracy?
I said,
you didn't say, you said the word bureaucracy?
Yes, I said that the bureaucracy does not function efficiently. And if those are not the words that I exactly used, then those are certainly the right words. The bureaucracy that we have and the regulatory environment that we have does not function efficiently. It takes so long to do anything that it's completely idiotic. And also there's so much, when you are going to regulate something, you can do it well. You can do it so you're protecting the public interest as well as the corporate interest. Those two things should really be working in parallel, because the way that I see it is the corporate interests are the public interest to a great extent, because the corporate interests are the ones who are supplying and creating the jobs and so on and so forth. But anyway, I think probably.
All right, but I mean, there are kids getting blown away at school. There are people that are going bankrupt because they can't afford their medicine.
Yeah,
there's a stagnation of the middle class since the 70s. There's super oligarchy spreading out like fucking blob in this country. And I don't really worry about the time it takes to process paperwork as much as like, you know, like these major issues that are causing this country to go.
Well, the problem I think that the problem that as I see it, of processing paperwork for a long time, is that there are people standing on the sidelines, middle class people, who are trying to work, and they can't work until that paperwork gets processed. That is harming our productivity. It's harming the ability for people to get engaged in jobs. You've got homelessness that is rampant throughout the United States. Los Angeles has like teams of families and people, human beings that are living in tents. Denver, Colorado, to a much lesser extent, you've got sections that are just hundreds of people just living in the street in these de facto kind of communities, and it's a horrendous situation. You also take a look at Seattle. Seattle is a terrible place in terms of that, and I think that the problem with the conversation, you know, and these candidates that are coming, trying to compete with Trump, and you know, I don't think it's any secret to anybody that I do not like Donald Trump as president of the United States or as a person. So that's no secret. And I just
Somebody just shouted like.
What's that? What'd you say?
Somebody in the background, like Donald Trump, somebody in the background went.
No, he coughed. There's construction going on here.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of quiet right now.
Constructing your palace as we speak, right?
Well, it's sure.
Although you can barely hear the cries of the homeless people down below.
No, it's a terrible situation.
I'm just joking.
Yeah. So the problem with some of these things, like I watched the debates a little bit. I'm not finding them that fascinating because I find myself getting irritated. I wouldn't feel good about Joe Biden driving my car. I would feel equally as uncomfortable with Bernie Sanders trying to park it. And I don't know that if I'm really all that good with Elizabeth Warren, you know, being responsible for insuring it and registering it.
But as an alternative to the man that you just said you hate, they're all great.
No, I never said hate. I didn't.
Or dislike, whatever.
Yeah, I don't like him. I am concerned about what decisions we're making, and that we're going in a direction where we could really be making irresponsible decisions.
But you agree with the phrase "anyone but Trump"?
No, I wouldn't
Why
say.
not?
I wouldn't say that because there are people worse than him in this world. He's not the worst human being in the world. there's definitely worse people.
You don't think so? Okay. But in terms of Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, and Bernie Sanders, you would choose any of them over Trump, right?
I don't know that I would choose any of them over Trump because I'm.
Oh, you don't know. You don't know.
I vote. I vote for someone, not against someone. That's how my mind works. So definitely.
You don't know.
Yeah, I don't. I probably would. Of all of those, I'm leaning towards Pete Buttigieg. I think that I like him probably the most. I don't know that he's doing that well, but I would support him without a hesitation over Trump. I would pick Joe Biden over Trump because I think he's going to be better than Trump.
So what's wrong with Bernie and what's wrong with Elizabeth in your mind? What are you afraid of?
Oh, I don't think it's about being afraid. Personally, I don't fear any of these choices. None of those things none of those things are likely to affect me as an individual any more than they would affect you. So whatever choice we pick, it's gonna whatever harm happens to anyone, it's gonna affect me and you equally as far as those particular choices, as far as I can see. The concern, and I think that it's also important to consider the value of placing a vote in the best interest of the community, not in the best interest of yourself. I think that's really what voting is all about. As soon as people go out and say, this guy's going to do some things that are good for me, I think that's a bad vote. I think that's an irresponsible vote. I don't think that's a good way of actually participating in the system, because we have to prioritize the community before ourselves. And that's something that those are values that I was brought up with.
Well, I think either Bernie or Elizabeth are going to help the community tremendously. As a matter of fact, just like you said, I don't think they're going to help me personally at all. I mean, I think they're going to tax the fuck out of the rich. And I think that's what's got to be done. When the rubber hits the road, the rich are getting away with murder in this country. And I think people are getting fed up. And if they weren't so, their faces just stuck in some iPhone or iPad, or like, if they weren't so hard up for having to work like 40, 50, 60 hours a week, and they couldn't travel 6,000 miles or 2,000 miles to go to a rally, they'd be much more prone to start a revolution and get active and get, protesting. There's a disaster going on in this country, and it can only be fixed by starting to really reverse some of these tax laws that give the rich these free rides.
Well, let's take a look.
We always get into it on Facebook about these posts, for example. That's overused and everybody talks about it, and it's almost boring now, but it's disgusting, and it's got to be reversed.
Wait one second.
The tax code has got to be reformed.
Hold on 1 second. I wonder if I could pause. Hold on 1 second. I have to set something up over here. Hold on.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to say one thing while he's gone. This motherfucker was interviewed about what he could spend his money on. And instead of talking about helping his fellow man, this is the richest man in the world, he talked about blazing a trail into space.
All right.
Space.
What?
Space.
Space.
I said, I made a little speech while you were gone.
Oh, no.
Bezos. Yeah. He
Okay.
wants to go into space. He wants to show, that he can travel in space. A lot of rich guys are really, really into space. Well, what's up with that? Are you into space?
Well, I'm not representing rich guys, but I am.
No.
I'm definitely into space. I think it's really cool. I also think that people should wake up in the morning and I think and dream
What,
and be fascinated with things, and they should do things that are interesting and that they can. I think that's what people should do. You know, I think that kids, when they're growing up, they should be playing. They should be enjoying things around them and picking things up and learning about things and exploring. And I think that fascination of learning about things and the things around you and having value for that is how we should continue to be as adults. So if I had the wherewithal, oh, you know what? I'm wearing the wrong shirt right now because I thought I was picking up my t-shirt that says Occupy Mars, but I picked this one up and it says bollocks.
Occupy Mars, meaning like Occupy Wall Street sort of thing?
No, it's more like, it's a play on that. It's Occupy Mars, meaning let's go there and occupy it. Like Occupy Wall Street, everybody's hanging out down there. There's Occupy Mars. I think that's cool. That's a thing that really could be exciting, you know, to do. And Jeff Bezos wanted to get into the space program. I think that's awesome. You know, I think that we should be looking to expand our horizons. If we weren't doing that, we'd still be living all in a little tiny part of, I guess, China is the oldest civilization. So we'd all be Chinese and live in a little area, and the rest of the world would not be explored.
Enrique, do you understand the frustration with me and a lot of people in this country? I'm listening to you say something like this, and it makes me ball up my hands into fists of rage.
Because you don't want to go to space.
No, because I'm talking about you spending Bezos's money on space when his own employees can't afford to live.
Hold on one second.
People in this country, they can't afford to live.
So, listen, I'm not spending Bezos's money. That's the point.
Yeah, so that's disgusting, and he should be
spending his own money exactly how he wants to. That's kind of the point of making money, is to be able to have the choices and the freedom to do what you want to do with it. That's the, you know, that's the point.
Yeah, but is important.
But everybody has to have.
When you vote, you think about society.
Yeah, exactly. I think about the community. Is what I said.
Right.
I think about the community.
Shouldn't he think about his own community of workers when he thinks about the money that he's got? He doesn't acknowledge that.
The only thing that I think that I should be doing is thinking about my values and what I should be doing. I don't consider what other people should be doing with, so long as they're not breaking laws, so that they're not harming anyone. I'm not capable of even considering what somebody else should or should not do with their money. I just don't have that ability, and I don't even know. I don't have the tools or the. I just would never do that. I just think it's wrong, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
So you think it's wrong to say, hey, you're the richest man in the world. You got there because of our great country and our very, very lenient laws. And you shouldn't think that they should give something back to this community, back to this society with their money? I
think he should do exactly what he wants to do and what he feels he should do. It's not my place.
No, that's not good enough.
That's how
not
I feel.
Good enough. I know, but I'm saying how I feel is that's not good enough.
No, I understand.
You've got people that are being taken advantage of, people being exploited.
Yeah, I don't see that. I just don't see that. I think that he's got 680,000 at last count employees throughout the world. He's the biggest employer on the planet. He built a business that affords people an incredible income. He's got more $100,000 plus jobs that he's created than any other corporation on the planet. And I'm talking about, this is a worldwide thing. So when somebody has achieved this level of extraordinary contribution, then you have to consider the billions and billions of dollars of payroll taxes that are being paid, the real estate taxes and all that. Our society is
overtaxed,
is reaping so much benefit from the existence of Amazon. Then compound with
Really?
Then compounded with the ability to have people buy things for 10, 15, 20% less than they would in a retail store is another, is like another tax deduction for the lower and middle classes, or the lower and middle economic brackets. I don't think the word classes is a really good word. So yeah, no, I think that the guy's done incredible things. And I remember going on Ellison.
Why are his employees on government assistance?
Well, that's a whole. I can't answer that. All I can say is that I know 6 people that work at Amazon, and they're not on government assistance, and their lives have been upgraded dramatically. And when I ask them, so what's it like working for Amazon? They don't have any negative. They're just thrilled to death. So those are the only people that I personally know.
They're what?
They're very thrilled about their.
Oh, I thought you said work to death.
No, thrilled.
Oh, thrilled to death. Oh,
yeah, thrilled. So if you were here, I would give you a noogie. But yeah,
they work very, very hard. They work those employees extremely hard. A lot of them are completely exhausted by the end of the day. Did you see the report on?
I can't. I'm not gonna. I know people that
they even have those wristbands. You know, I showed you the prototype. They want to get those wristbands in effect. So if the employee makes the wrong move, they get shocked, I think, into line.
I don't believe that's a real thing, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah, I don't believe that's a real thing. I don't believe every single thing I see on the internet.
Do you own stock in Amazon?
No.
Okay, you got no stock in Amazon.
No, that's a company that I have never owned stock in. So, but that was just a mistake.
But you're an evangelist for the company.
No, I'm not an evangelist for the company. I see the positive impact that they've had on society. Now, I also see some negatives, by the way.
Do you see negatives?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see a lot of negatives also with Amazon. Yeah. Do you want me to talk about them?
Do you think they should be taxed federally? Do you think we should reverse the tax laws that allow them to get away with not paying tax? I think it's 2 years in a row now.
No, I think I have I think I have a pretty good understanding about how those taxes and the taxes that Amazon, the laws that they're complying with are exactly the same as my company has to comply with. It's exactly the same as your company has to comply with. No. Well, maybe not yours. I don't know what your. Well, certainly mine. We all have to comply with the same exact tax laws. I don't know what.
Oh, are you a publicly traded company? Do you have shares of your company?
No, I'm not a publicly traded company, but privately traded companies have the same exact tax laws that publicly traded companies have.
Listen, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but you know just like I do.
Well, wait a minute. We should that's the whole point of this conversation is to get into specifics.
I mean, look, I'm not an accountant. I'm not a tax accountant, but I know that they use every conceivable system that money can buy to pay the least amount of taxes. And somebody like me, I cannot use those same methods. Well, therefore, it's an unequal playing field.
Well, wait.
And that, I hate that. That stinks. I hate double standard.
Yeah, but I don't think
going further, the country is overrun with these people that can afford to change the rules to their benefit. And that's why this country is going down the tubes. The rich can afford to change the laws to benefit themselves. Just like Amazon, they probably spend millions lobbying Washington, D.C. every year to get the best possible leverage and to get the best tax breaks money can buy. They use shares given to their employees that diminish their I could send you as much information as you need to know. It's all written down by people that are smarter than me, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I think that all of these are afforded to everybody. So if your company were to go public, you would be able to give out shares as well. And as a private company.
That's a little bit of a barrier to entry, isn't it? I have to go public?
No, actually, you didn't let me finish. And as a private
Okay.
company, you can do the same thing. I know that I do that. I give out stock ownership in my companies in order for people to then have equity positions, and then they are taxed differently for the dividend income that they earn, of course. But this is how the laws are done. Also, if I'm going to go into a place, and let's say I'm going to go into a city, like let's say Lincoln, Nebraska, just picking a crazy, bizarre spot. I'm going to employ, let's say, 400 people. One of the first things that we do as business people is we go in there and we say, okay, what are the tax incentives that you can provide us? Because I'm bringing in 400 new employees. I'm going to hire 400 people. And that's one of the first 10 steps after doing feasibility studies and things like that. So what Amazon does is the same thing that Apple does, which is the same thing that my company does, which is the same thing that even companies smaller than mine do. We want to be able to say, hey, we're going to bring something here, and what are the tax credits that we can get for building a business here? And then throughout the United States, you have these things called opportunity zones. The opportunity zones, by definition, they're available to you, available to me, they're available to people with half of your resources, to anybody. And what you do is you go into the opportunity zone, and then you have a tax advantage in order to build there. And the reason that works is because you need infrastructure in those environments, because you want to start spreading things out. So for example, if the only cool place to live in the United States was New York City and Los Angeles and Miami and Chicago, if those are the only reasonably cool places to live, well, we'd be in trouble, because an apartment in New York would be, for a little studio, 350 square foot apartment in New York, would be like $15,000 a month instead of the $3,000 a month that it is right now. So what we have to do is we have to broaden the perimeter of the sweet spots and create more sweet spots throughout the country. I estimate, and I've also read, and I think that this is accurate, that by the year 2030, 80% of every human being in America will be living in a city. So in order to make that prophecy not completely be the undoing, we have to just create more cities. We have to create more metropolises. We have to create more areas that people can go and live in, with all of the benefits of a city infrastructure with mass transit and everything else. So yeah, just going back to the original thing, it doesn't,
Just going back to the original thing, do you think Amazon should pay federal income tax? You said no.
No, I didn't say that. I said I don't. No, I didn't. What I said was absolutely they should, and they should be, and those federal income taxes should be offset by agreements that they've made and tax deductions that they've secured, just like they're doing. Every company is playing by the exact same rules. So of course
no, they're not.
Well,
that is false.
Which company is not?
Company,
I'm playing by the exact same rules. My company plays by the exact same rules that Amazon plays by.
No. See, this is the fundamental difference in our beliefs about this country. The rules change with how much money you have. You may not see that because you exist in I'm just going to say it. Maybe you exist in a different reality than me in terms of your financial
I don't think
status.
that's nice. That's a disparaging remark.
I said because of your financial status, you may exist in a different reality than me. That's not exactly disparaging. That may be true. And I think you're focusing on the inequality in this country, and that's what I'm trying to get across to you.
Yeah, no,
there are companies that make the rules and companies that follow the rules. There are companies that bend the rules. There are millionaires who keep their money offshore. It's just been disclosed in the Panama Papers and before that in the Paradise Papers. trillions of dollars that don't enter our system.
Right, but we also have to, wait, but Ben, you have to also realize that this is a world, a planet that we're in, and you're talking about the United States, and your most recent comments about people leaving money offshore, that goes to every country on planet Earth. That's not an American thing. The Swedes, the Danes, the Finlandians, the Germans, the French.
I'll buy that.
Everybody, the Greeks, the Russians, and the Chinese, as example, everybody does exactly the same thing. So what I think, we're talking about America right now, and of course that's contextual, because I'm more interested actually in the world than I am in America. I'm more interested in the planet than.
I mean, I only care about how it affects Americans because I pay taxes into this system. I'm happy to pay taxes. I'm happy to pay more taxes to see that the system runs correctly. And when I see companies not paying taxes because of not them, some of that is due to their own, their own lobbying.
Yeah, they got taxes, but also I want to point out something that you said before. You said, I think that Amazon is going to Washington and lobbying for a tax benefit. Right, but here's the only objection I have is I think that we should have clarity, not what we think is happening, but we should say, hey, this person went to Washington to ask for this particular thing to be done for them only, and it should not affect any other company. Exclusive tax benefits that only apply to one company. If I believed that Amazon or Apple or IBM or Oracle or anybody was looking for tax benefits that would be good just for their company and nobody else, then and also compounded with it wasn't going to be for the greater good. So all of those things, then I would have a problem with that with that company, and I would actually change
the rules for the rich companies. It's just like that. That's why you're offended by Bernie and Liz. Let's be clear. What they're trying to do is put an end to this. There is a corporate control of this country, and that's why the big banks and Wall Street and huge corporations, they are shaking in their boots with the prospect of a Liz presidency or a Bernie presidency. Because
well, like I said,
we're finally going to address these inequalities. And right now, those inequalities are running ramshot over our country, and it's got to change, dude.
Okay,
it's killing our country.
So let me respond. First of all, I do think that there's a tremendous amount of inequality, but when I look at equality and inequality, what I'm really looking at most is I'm looking for equality of opportunity. I'm not looking at the equality of outcome, because if everybody has the same opportunity, then they will manifest a particular result. And before you made a comment about, well, I'm living in a unreal, I'm in a particular economic level, but
strata.
Strata. But what I want to also make clear is I've also been to every strata. I've been to the extreme poor level, where things look like, pretty bleak. And then I went into the poor middle, and then I went to the, into the middle. And I've actually participated in every strata, every atmosphere. Well, not the very high ones. I've never participated in that, but I participated in many of the atmospheres. But again, not the very high one at all. Nowhere near the super high.
Okay, but I mentioned what you were saying at first. You're interested in equality of opportunity, not in equality of outcome.
Right. Yeah, that's how I basically frame every, all of these things. And I also see that one of the main things, and it was interesting because in the debates, Biden did say something. I can't quote him because I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was alluding to the fact of the problems with the family. He didn't say it very well according to the media, and they used these little tactics because they wanted to make fun of him. But he really said something that I thought was incredibly intelligent. He just didn't say it all that great. He pointed out how we've got to be able to help people at the household level, because most of the people who are in a bad situation come from homes with bad parents, parents that were not equipped to manage their households properly, and they taught their kids bad things. They were abusive environments, maybe not physically necessarily, but oftentimes they were physically abusive, but more importantly, emotionally abusive. So when you're taught that you have no value for your throughout your adolescence and into your teenage years and into, you know, and until that time where you leave home, you learn that. You're indoctrinated with those ideas, and then you are completely incapable of functioning. These kids that come from homes where this is happening, they're not.
But I mean, that's
wait.
beyond the level of politics. I can't discuss that because that.
Wait 1 second, because I don't think so, and I really think that was the most remarkable thing that Biden said, which really gave me pause to say, you know what? If he can handle this job, he's the only one that's saying that, and as far as I'm concerned, that is the most paramount thing. When I look at a problem and I try to solve it, I look at how can I prevent the problem from happening first? And then if it's already happening, how can I manage it? But really my goal is to stop the problem from happening for other people going forward. And he's the only
Then reverse the economic slide that is occurring.
Wait.
That's what we have to do.
Wait. I'm saying something, and I want you to appreciate what I'm saying.
I completely appreciate it, but
Joe, wait. Joe Biden is the only person on that stage that mentioned what I see as the single most important thing that we need to address. These people all living in these tents that we were talking about before, in Seattle, in Denver, in Portland, in Los Angeles, in Chicago, all of these people, for the most part, yes, some of them have mental illness.
Go ahead, name every Democratic.
No.
Well, name every Democratic city.
No. It's.
What about Baltimore? Don't forget Baltimore, the shithole.
But wait a minute. No. Hold on 1 second. It's worse in everywhere else. I'm talking about cities, because the cities are the meccas of employment, and they're the concentrated areas where people want to go to. It's worse in all the Republican areas. It's way worse. Right. You understand? But we have a lower cost of living in those other areas. And the reason that people go from the rural communities into the cities to be homeless rather than be homeless in a rural community is because there's nobody out there that's going to walk by and give you a dime. That's why they're migrating to the big cities. And
can I say something about this point you just made?
Yeah.
You made a great point, and I did listen to it. And you're talking about families that are basically every problem begins in the family, in the home. And we see it, society is a result of those problems being manifest. The only thing that we can do about that is lift up these families' economic stability. We can't enter every home as a government and start decreeing, family law. We have to just try to lift every economic boat and stop the slide of the middle class into poverty, which is going on I sound like Bernie Sanders, right? I'm starting to get a little bit of an accent. Stop the slide of poverty from the middle class into the lower classes.
The rich have all the money. They have all the money. There's nothing we can do about it.
But he's right. You have to take the money from the rich and redistribute it. And that's what socialism, that's what terrifies you guys. And you start making you scream about socialism and redistribution of income. And we have to take that money and give it to.
And just give it to them. And but they don't have bank accounts. Where are they going to put it?
There's ways to do it. First of all,
What are some of the ways that you would give these people money?
every single way that they're talking about, through education, through healthcare.
Oh, well, we definitely want to
taxes,
improve the educational system. I think that people should go in and start learning in the 9th grade about credit and how to manage it. I think the educational system needs a complete revamp.
So does everything.
Revamp.
So does the criminal justice system. So
Yeah,
does
the criminal justice system as well. And the reason that we have the criminals is because sometimes somebody rather not be, it's like you're homeless. These are the steps. You're homeless, you're in jail, or you're okay. So there are people, in a lot of cases, that prefer committing crimes and going to jail than being homeless, because being homeless is
3 square meals.
It's a higher status, unfortunately. But yeah, I think that the educational system needs to be reformed tremendously. I think that the criminal justice system has to be reformed. I think it's horrific. And I think that what we're doing is as a country, we're taking people who are not productive and then just putting them in a box and getting rid of them, instead of taking responsibility to understanding how they became unproductive and how they got into that situation. And that is the thing that Joe Biden did touch upon in there that I really respect. And it's exactly how I think that we should be approaching this situation. As far as taking money from the rich and giving it to the poor, I think that there's a lot of concerns about that, because we have
concerns.
We have to be motivated in order to go through this type of thing. Like you talked about Amazon employees and how they're overworked. I happen to know. Yeah, and I think there could be some cases, but I think there's also a lot of people that feel that they're not being exploited, and they're very grateful for having a job that pays them in many cases double what they were making in any other time in their lives. So warehouse guys over here, I know specifically at $24 an hour is a pretty nice income for an unskilled, not unskilled, but for someone who is working in a warehouse facility, for example. There are, and warehousing is a very big part. Amazon has facilities in Los Angeles. They've got facilities in Chicago, all over the freaking place. And they are employing a tremendous amount of people, and they want to be able to manage.
I'm sorry, I gotta take this phone call. It's been calling me 5 times. Hold on 1 second.
All right.
Hello. No, it's Ben. Yeah.
They're trying to get in.
Oh, there's no one there now.
Oh, what time is somebody there?
3:30. I think I mentioned that earlier.
Just hold on 1 second. Hold.
So.
Delivery?
Amazon trying to deliver a package.
Exactly.
Right, okay, we'll try to get back later on. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So
yeah,
I want to get us to a place, and I find what your position is I think it's a great position. I think that your heart is in the right place. I just don't know. I feel like, in my view, I think that kind of idea is going to cause more harm to people than benefit.
What kind of idea?
The idea of like taking people's money away from them and giving it to other people who
it's
don't.
Called taxation. It's called fair taxation laws.
But the thing is that take Los Angeles, for example. Los Angeles brings in more tax revenue per person than any other place in the United States, bar none. If you live in Los Angeles, California, you add up your property taxes, your income tax, your state taxes, your local taxes, all those taxes, you're paying more money in tax than if you lived in Denmark.
Well, it's a much bigger state.
Yeah, and yet Los Angeles has the least amount of allocation for education and public services than any other place in the United States. Look it up. So taxation doesn't completely function. And so we have this other situation where as individuals, what we can do is we can control where the government spending actually goes ourselves as individuals. And I'll tell you one way that you personally can do it, and one way that I do it. I go and I say, okay, I'm going to write a check to the Coalition for the Homeless, okay? And so I give them $15,000 a year. Now, I will be able to write off of my taxes that contribution, which doesn't mean that I make the government give 100% of that, but half, because I guess I pay about 50% of my income in taxes. That half,
right?
The government basically says, okay, you don't have to give it to us because you gave it to them. It still costs me half that money out of pocket.
Okay.
So that is one way we as individuals can actually control how we give money. So let's say a person person A, they pay $150,000 a year in income tax, as an example. If they want to give more money because they don't feel it's fair, it's very simple. What they do is they give an additional $50,000 to charities. And that then helps them to direct the funds exactly to where they want it to go. And then it only costs them $25,000 out of pocket, assuming that person that paid $150,000 in taxes and a 50% tax rate. So anybody out there, like you just made a statement before that says, I would like to be paying more tax. So
Well, hold on. I said I would not object to paying more tax if I saw that companies would show a little bit of patriotism and American,
Well, Jeff Bezos, for example, I think, and you can.
I think it's unpatriotic.
Wait, one second. Wait a second. I'm trying to make a point. You may scoff at the amount of charitable contributions that he gives, but let's say he gives only $10 million a year to charities, okay?
Right.
I don't know how much he gives. There's no way anybody could possibly find something like that out. But let's just say this person…
Extremely small, whatever.
No, I'm not…
It's an extremely small number. I've seen reports of it.
Yeah, but like I said, there's no way for anybody to know. So if somebody sees a report, that's a report that they've compiled, and they might have it 10% right. They might have it 50% right. It's not likely, unless Jeff Bezos made the report himself, that it's 100% right. The only person
don't you think it's in his best interest to publicize whenever he gives to charity?
Definitely not. No.
Why not? Because
I think that's something that I think
a guy that's getting such a bad rap for being a…
Hold on a second. No, wait. Let me answer your question. I think that when you do a good deed, there's something that fills up in your lungs. It's this pureness of oxygen. It's a feeling that just that you're getting a return on. So if I do something good, I feel really good about it. So let's say I give somebody $100, and it's like, this person needed it. I don't know who that person is. There's a feeling that I get that is worth $100. It's like you could take a drug. I could spend $100 on a drug to try to give me that feeling, but it'll never give me that same level of feeling.
Right.
All right. So when you do something good,
right.
What happened to your headphones?
I'm going to put it back on. I'm listening. I can hear every word.
When you do something good, you do it for the sake of… Should I take off my shirt too?
No, I'm chained. Go on.
I mean,
I gotta leave it.
This is going to be on TV. You can't be…
That's fine.
Okay. All right. Wow, you've been working out?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Nice. It's very important. All right. So when you do something good, I believe you keep it to yourself. I've always been like that. It's just, wait. And the more somebody says to me, oh, you're selfish or you don't give to anybody, the less inclined I am to, I'm not going to defend myself by saying, well, that's not true. I give to this, I give to this, I give to this, I give to that. I'm never going to do something like that. That's debasing. It's horrible. And I wouldn't do it. Jeff Bezos shouldn't do it either. This is a guy who doesn't have to do that.
Of course he does. He's a public figure. Everybody's on his ass because he's the least charitable, biggest money guy in the freaking world. And if he actually gave a shit, which he, about charities, he would publicize it. You wouldn't be able to get rid of the smell. You'd smell it all the way there.
Well, I think that he, I think he's got to make his own choices. And if I were him, I wouldn't publicize it. I would try in my head to keep myself, to have self-respect. Man. Yeah, but he doesn't want to do those types of public relations. Those are cheap public relations. He's already the most successful human being on planet Earth. I don't think he's worried about his public relations. I think he's getting mostly a bad rap by people who are offended that he's successful and he's the richest human on Earth.
No, it's not, see, that's what I hate about this. I gotta say something here.
Yeah,
we're not jealous of Jeff Bezos. He is like.
So then, why are we talking about him? So why are we talking about him?
Because it's the economy. It's the economy.
688,000 human beings are working at that company.
And he's using the U.S. government to supplement their salaries. That is disgusting.
No, it's how
working them.
It's how every business does it.
And he's actually using the wealth to think about a for-profit space program rather than think about the needs of people that are working 2, 3, 4 jobs a day, trying to make ends meet, trying to get by in this society.
I understand that doesn't please you. If you ask me my opinion, I think it's cool that he wants to develop a space program. I think it's
because
cool.
You and fucking Elon Musk want to compare dick sizes by floating your shit out in space. It's all a rich man's game. It's not about the people. It's not about the people working on the ground. If he gave a shit about those people, he'd
I'll say what I said before. I'll say what I said before. I am not capable of commenting on what somebody does with their own money. I just don't want to go down that road. I think it's a cheap thing to do. I think it's tawdry. I think it's tacky. I don't think it's cool. If somebody wants to do something with their own money that somebody else thinks is wasteful, my criticism goes to the person who thinks it's wasteful, not to the person who's doing something that somebody thinks is wasteful. If I take my money and then I want to go and build a sterling silver spear that is a sculpture that goes 500, 800 feet up in the air in the middle of a park, and I'm going to spend 90% of my net worth doing it, that's something that I choose to do.
Then,
and if anybody,
Enrique,
wait, hold on a second.
You're a contradiction because you spent the first part of this podcast talking about how we should be thinking about community when we voted.
Yes.
And when you spend your money, that is in a way a vote. And you've said it yourself.
Exactly.
You're voting with your dollar.
You vote with your dollar.
You're voting to build a giant spear with your dollar.
That's an example. I'm not doing that for
or whatever. Or just going into space and blowing all your money on trying to get to Mars.
Yeah. That
is affecting the community just as much as a vote.
Okay.
And it's a vote against the people. I respect
that you feel that way, but I don't feel that way. I think that people should do exactly what they want with their money. It's like the criticism of people standing around and watching somebody drive down the street in a Bugatti, a $2 million Bugatti, and then being critical of that. I find that like really offensive, and I don't have the money for a Bugatti. But when I see somebody doing that, I'm like, wow, what a beautiful car. I just don't have that same mentality of actually thinking about what people should do with their money, because it's why they worked to make that money, and that's what they wanted to do. And I don't.
Well, I think it's offensive, and I appreciate your point. I think it's offensive when I see hardworking people putting their money into the American system, into the taxpayer system, paying their taxes, paying their payroll taxes, paying their Social Security taxes. And I see the rules changed and the playing field unlevel for a guy that's clearly made tremendous use of the US system by using our mail system, by using our highways, by using our citizens. He is using every resource in this country to his benefit. Therefore, I believe that he owes us something. He owes this society something.
I think he's paid this society by creating 680,000 jobs and paying billions and billions of dollars every year in taxes.
It's not enough because we have to know what kind of jobs they are. We have to know what kind of taxes they are. We know get into the nitty gritty.
Well, we have it all. It's all, you can just Google it.
Yeah, I Googled it and there's no federal income tax paid.
No, that's the only one. That's the only one. And that's okay.
Well, that's a little bit of something, wouldn't you say? I mean, that's
okay because he got tax deductions. It's not like he's made some kind of deal with the government in order that he's not going to have to pay any federal taxes for the next 50 years. Some years he's not paying federal taxes, and that's for good reason because he's going by the tax code, the same exact tax code advantage that I have.
He's influenced, and people like him have influenced, and they have to be changed. I agree.
But whatever he's doing.
But now they're all crying that they're going to change the tax code. Now they're all upset that Elizabeth is going to get in. She's going to start taxing them. They're flipping out.
Well, it's only the result could be a loss of jobs, and a lot of people who have $26 an hour jobs are going to have no jobs from what Elizabeth Warren is looking at doing. Right now, for example, so I'm just trying to read some information about Amazon. It's a lot. It's like billions and billions of dollars. You really need to create a spreadsheet on all of this because remember payroll taxes. Now you have a business, so you're one of the elites. You're a member of the elites. You are the owner, CEO of a corporation, and you know that when you pay your employees, you have to do the federal tax contribution, matching contribution. So in my little companies, my little tiny operation, it's something like, I don't know, $50,000 a month of just those matching funds. Amazon has to pay all of those. There's no exceptions on those payroll taxes. So it is billions and billions of dollars. So I think we're benefiting from that. We're benefiting from 680,000 jobs throughout the world. Amazon also pays taxes.
He's also stopping
wait 1 second.
Employees from unionizing, which is
Hold on.
big.
Well, I wouldn't want my employees unionizing either.
I know.
Nobody in their right mind wants that.
Whoa, nobody in their right mind would want fair working conditions and labor practices.
No, they want fair working conditions and labor practices, but they don't want
because
to unionize.
If there's not pressure,
wait. I think that what happened is that I was making a point, and then you got in front of me, and didn't let me make it.
Okay.
Please finish. So not only is Amazon paying billions and billions of dollars of taxes in the United States, but equally as important to me, because I'm more of a global person. I don't think of myself as an American first. I think of myself as a human being first. So I'm a person of the world. And so just as importantly, or maybe arguably more importantly, he's also paying billions and billions and billions of dollars. Well, it's not him, it's this company. Amazon is paying. We shouldn't conflate an individual with the corporate entity. Billions of dollars through many, many countries. I think it's over 60 countries are getting paid billions of dollars in taxes every year.
If you want, I could show you what they do. They've got every trick in the book.
No,
to avoid
you don't have
paying
to show me.
taxes all
You don't
the
have to show me that. I'm very well aware of all the
You
tricks.
know.
I
You know
use them.
exactly what.
I use every single one of those tricks myself. Every one of them. And if I don't, then shame on me. And then when I want to pay more in taxes, all I do is
So in other words, when Trump said, "That makes me smart," remember that moment in the debate?
no, but go on, tell me.
All right, there was a famous moment in the debate with Hillary where she said, "You didn't pay any income tax for blah blah blah," and he said, "Yeah, that makes me smart."
Well, I don't know about that one. But I
But
think
you're
that
saying the same thing.
no. What I'm saying is that there's a tax code, and if you don't follow the tax code, then you're going to slip and go backwards.
But there's a lot of like gray areas in the tax code, right?
I'm not aware of any.
Do you have any morality when it comes to taxes?
Do I have what?
Morality.
Do I have morality?
Yeah.
I have a legal responsibility to pay the amount of taxes that I'm supposed to, and I have a responsibility. I have a legal responsibility to the United States, just like you, to pay all of the taxes that I'm supposed to.
And not a penny more.
And then I have a legal responsibility to the United States to pay all of the taxes that I'm supposed to pay, and I have a personal responsibility to my employees to not pay taxes that I shouldn't be paying. Because with any taxes that I pay that I shouldn't be paying, that's money that's getting taken right out of my employees' pockets. So I have an ethical and moral responsibility to them to make sure that all of these tax structures are paid correctly. So just like you're taking advantage of every tax loophole that there is, I'm sure. And if you say no right now, I don't believe you. Because
I'm not. You cannot believe me, whatever. I'm not as aggressive by any means.
Do you have an accountant?
I don't hire lawyers to try to like.
Do you hire an accountant?
Accountants or whatever the fuck.
Do you hire an accountant? Or do you do your taxes yourself?
Let's put it this way.
No. Just answer the question. Do you hire an accountant to do your taxes?
The answer is complicated, if you don't mind. Can I answer the way I want to? Or
it's not complicated for me. I hire an accountant.
All right. Well, that's you. I mean, I'm talking about me.
So go ahead. How do you do
this? This is the first year that I'm using an accountant, I think.
Okay. Well,
that's not very. That's
pretty bad. Yeah, that's a little difficult because. But I've got a more important thing I got to say. I got to go. You got to go?
I got to go because I got getting texts from my girlfriend. I got to pick up my kid, and I got to talk to somebody before I do that.
All right. I might have to edit this last part out because you're going to have like feds kicking down your door. If you should not publicize that you've been doing your.
No. I'm using a different account. I've always had accounts. I'm using a different account. Oh, well, so I have not been as aggressive as I could have been in the past is what the point I'm trying to make.
You mean your other accountant was incompetent?
Yeah. You better just edit that out, whatever. Is it possible can we do this again when I've got more time? I didn't realize it would take this much time.
Okay. All right. Cheers. Have a nice day.
Hey, I'm sorry if I was offensive. I just got excited.
You weren't. No, you're fine. I love you, man.
I love you.
Fascinating all the time. All right.